Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Just Enough Heshy show. I want everybody to know that it's been a rough week, but a good week. And welcome back, Boomy. How are you?
I'm fine, Heshy. It's wonderful to be here as always, and I want to wish you you and Linda, a special mazel tov and a happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
I understand it's 30 years and you're still standing on your own 2 feet, Heshy. That's beautiful.
Yes, I know that.
Ad may have Esrim, Heshy.
31 years. And you know what? Today, first of all, I want to, of course, say hello to my beautiful co-host, Sawyer. How are you, Sawyer?
Hi, everybody.
By the way, we have everybody. We have a special guest in the show, so we're going to rush things along this morning. You see how crazy I am? This evening. I don't even know where.
It's anniversary. He's floating on love.
No, I'm not. Linda makes me so miserable. I don't know where I am.
He's floating on love.
So we have this wonderful lady. Her name is Ina Auerbach. Bacher. She's 85 years old, a Holocaust survivor. I mean, you're going to freak out when you speak to this woman, just out of this world. And I want to tell you just a few seconds because we're going to get on with the show in a second. If I ever can find these, I always lose it. Ina, by the way, is she's a survivor. She was about 5 years. She was 7 to 10 years of age when she was in the Holocaust. She's a retired chemist, public speaker.
Was she in the concentration camps?
She was in Terezin concentration camp in Czechoslovakia.
Wow.
And I hear it gets better. She spoke in front of the United Nations. She's an author of 6 books. She's writing now her 7th book.
7 books.
I'm just telling you, she's just a wonderful lady. She's also she made this song that was first sang, whatever it was, at the first world gathering of Jewish Holocaust survivors in Jerusalem and Israel, 1981.
Beautiful. So she's a real heroine.
This is a serious woman, and we're going to talk to Ina Auerbacher. She's going to call in at 9:12. So anyways, today is my 30th anniversary. So I told Linda, she said, let's go to dinner. I said, how can we go to dinner? I'm working all day. I have a lot of problems. What do you want me to do? I said, I'll take you to dinner over the weekend. She says, no, today's our anniversary. Anyway, she got angry. She hung up the phone on me. 3 seconds later, she calls me, did you buy me flowers? I said, for sure I didn't buy you flowers if I didn't take you to dinner. I'm not spending $150 on flowers. Are you crazy?
It's either dinner or the flowers.
It's none. Anyways, because I finished the show so late, I said, I'll come home tonight. We'll get some popcorn. We'll watch television. She hung up the phone on me. 6 seconds later, she calls me back. She says, you know what? You're a big baby. Go out and buy yourself toys and give it to the kids. So what I did was,
she's learning from you, Heshy.
I went out, I bought myself 200 toys. I got a bunch of donations as well from a friend, and I stopped off at the 58th Street Park. I stopped off at East 17th Street Park tonight. I stopped off on the street on 59th Street. I started giving out backpacks, toys, dolls, and it was the kids who just didn't stop coming, and I had the best anniversary ever. Thank you, Linda, for donating your.
That's beautiful.
For donating your dinner. I mean, all I could do is get fatter. This way, I couldn't get fatter. Anyways, we're going to start the show, everybody. We're going to deal with Ina. We're going to curse out that stupid idiot. You know they're closing my wedding hall.
Bozo?
They're closing my wedding halls. You know that, right? But instead, we have 30. Do you know that we have crime is up by 166%?
People in my neighborhood. I think there were 2 shootings there.
Right, 2 shootings on 41st Street and 9th Avenue and a stabbing on 9th Avenue and 42nd Street. On August 15th, there are 3 dead, 23 shot. On August 16th, 20 shot. On August 17th, 43 shot in a 48-hour
He doesn't
period.
care. He's busy putting up the homeless
No,
inside the
come on. Stop blaming Mayor DeBozo for all of this when we all know in our public audience, radio audience, all of course knows that this has to be Donald Trump's fault. I mean, ask all the Democrats.
Well, that's what it is.
Ask the progressives, the libs.
And I just want you to know something. From last year, crime is up 160%. Now, Mayor de Blasio is busy getting on TV. Oh, it's historic time. Things are getting better. I mean, there was a guy.
He is the biggest criminal I ever saw.
And he's closing my wedding halls. He has people running around actually in Borough Park and Flatbush. We have our politicians saying, oh, we're against them. Then they double back and they say, don't let them in, let them in. And I want you to know I'm very upset with Chaim Deutsch. You see them running for, even though I know he's putting his wife up to run against me, another winner. But you know what he says? He says, we have to stop crime. I said, but Chaim, you're the councilman. How come you're not fighting it now? Why are you spending money on every other stupidity? Anyways, nothing to do. Well, who's going around painting Borough Park Street All Lives Matter? Does anybody know about that?
A hero.
I
The
think
Park Buster.
guy by
Who
the
are you
name
going
of-
to
I don't know
call?
the name of Tischler. By
I
any
don't know.
chance?
Don't accuse me of nothing. Somebody painted in front of whatever his Simchafelder's
Who are you going to call?
Anyways, by the way, there was a rabbi who was the head of the head chaplain in the police station of the police. His name is, he was just on the Zev Bennett show, Rabbi Cass, mugged on the west side, Upper West Side.
I
mugged.
heard about that.
Anyways,
Yeah.
we're gonna get on with the show quickly. Whatever.
Crime is really up.
Crime is, and de Blasio is busy raising taxes. Yes, he wants
And
us
his
out.
wife is busy hiding money.
He wants us out of the city so he can steal our properties and buildings, and that's what he's doing. And he's not letting people collect rent, so we're going out of business. We have to lose it. He's forcing us out.
Heshy, I'm just wondering, they raised from $45 to $65 for alternate side of the street parking. Why a $20? That's like a third.
But you're talking.
That's like 30.
DOB violations have gone
That's
from
such a big raise.
But DOB violation, Department of Building, $1,200 to $5,000. People can't build, and he's giving violations and knocking on people's doors. Sanitation tickets for stupidity. Anyways, Chamula Jewelers, located at 944 Kings Highway, 718-336-1980. A family-owned business for over 40 years. Just bringing your jewelry to redesign or freshen up for a new look. Chamula Jewelers.
We've got the sparkle for you.
By the way, today, Pescada, very nice guy. He's a client of mine, and we used to always advertise for him. He sent me our lunch because
not a lunch, a lunch.
A lunch.
I saw it.
He told me to split.
Dessert
he told me
and
to split it.
salmon
He told me to split
and
it.
pasta and
He told me to split it with Linda. I ate it all. But Penny stole the dessert, Mr. Diet Skinny Guy. Tehila Tishla, TT Styles. We didn't give any shout outs to anybody.
Sergeant Peters. And I have a special shout out this
Go
week.
ahead,
I
go
told you,
ahead.
Heshy, I told you
Go
what
ahead.
happened
I
to
heard
me.
what happened.
Yeah, I had a horrible experience
At the
at
DMV,
the
of course.
DMV.
It's not
You
horrible.
can only
That's-
make an appointment online, and the next appointment that I can get is in November. And I had this traumatic experience. They only take
Anyways,
cash.
get on with it.
Okay. Anyway, Trisha, I just want to tell you, you're a superstar, you're a hero, and you restored
Trisha.
my faith in humanity. You and your friend that was sitting in the car, you saved me.
Trisha,
Thank
thank you
you
for helping my co-host. You're always welcome on our show. TTStyles.com, Tehila Tishla, 718-675-6842, 718-675-6842 for you. 6842 for all your makeup needs. Tehila Tishla, TEETEESTYLES.com. Makeup, wigs, hair, everything.
And remember, she brings out the beauty in you.
She'll
She
bring
brings
out
out
the
the
beauty in you.
Right. But I just want you to know, everybody, don't be scared of your weddings. I'm here. They can't come in, but we want to do it quietly. But you just wait. There's a big parade, the West Indian Day Parade coming on Sunday. No permits, no nothing. Thousands of people on the street, shootings, and you're going to see what is Mayor de Blasio is going to say. Oh, historic. Historic what?
He's probably going to join the parade. You don't hear my...
Black Lives
good.
Matter. There was a shooting in Harlem. People being killed. People are being killed in Harlem. And you know what? Where's Black Lives Matter? Where's Black Lives Matter marching for them? Right? Anyways. Fallon's Place. FALLONSPLACE.com. Go ahead.
Beautiful clothing for adults, teens, children's, located at 3132 Bedford Avenue. FallonsPlace.com. You can call them at 718-325-5667 or 718-Fallons, FALLONS.
I was in the store. Really cool. Go, everybody. Go.
Everything. They
Now,
have everything.
At Wolf's Grocery, I had a fight with my friend Miss Chaim, whatever, this weekend because he was very disrespectful when I went to visit his mother. And then I passed by his store yesterday, and I wanted to fight with him. And anyways, he calls me in. He sits me down with his brother. They make me a sandwich. I couldn't curse him out. I couldn't fight with him. And then I wanted to get something to drink, and he said, "I'm going to make you a fresh pot of coffee." So you know what? Wolf's Grocery, fresh pots of coffee, everybody.
8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 2362 Nostrand Avenue. You can call them at 718-252-1863.
718-252-1863, located at 2362 Nostrand Avenue. Wonderful. Then we have Traveler's Choice, Yossi and Devora Leifer.
A full itinerary. They will take you anywhere you need to go, anywhere in the world for all your travel needs. Traveler's Choice
is your only choice.
You guys just changed the script without even reading the script. That's not the commercial that he paid us for. You just don't even care. What's his number?
We care. 212-868-8698. That's 212-868-8698. 8698.
Yeah, see, I'm sorry.
No, it's really, I hear wonderful things about them. People tell me all the time that they call them, and any kind of travel issues that they have, they don't need to get involved with going on the computer, breaking their head,
wanna
rentals,
use
this,
them
that,
now.
everything from head to toe for all they have, from start to finish, all their travel experiences.
Traveler's choice.
You want to use them now especially during the coronavirus, because flights, I had to go somewhere and they got canceled 3 times, and it could be a real nightmare. You need to have a travel agent.
And we have Eat Great Meat Prime by Ari, 5010 16th Avenue. You have the most delicious steaks, great meats, great marinated stuff. Call them at 718-851-0051, 718-851-0051, or you can send them a WhatsApp at 718-851-0288, and he will give you free delivery if you do that. Now, guys, before we finish this, I want to tell you about my friend Danielle Cohen. Remember she was on the show the other day, The Angel?
Yes, I do.
She's really a wonderful girl. And I want to tell you what she's doing. This Sunday, everybody, in front of my office, 5318 16th Avenue, 5318 16th Avenue, or you can call me, text me. You could do anything you want. Danielle Cohen is giving out free corona tests. Yes, you have to have your insurance card or your social security number, and she gives you a free corona test. Everybody says, why should we do it? You don't have to do it. But if you're all nervous, no charge for the free corona test, and you're good to go. And I just want you to know, it's 5318 16th Avenue, a free corona test between 1 and 5. And if you want, you can call it to make an appointment at 346-630-346-309-1207, 346 309-1207. Danielle, she's going to be there. It's wonderful. You're going to have a great time with her, and she'll give you a free corona test. And if you want to come, you want to come. Now, if you want to call into the show and speak to Ina at the second half of the show, what's our number, Boomy?
Our number is 718-303-9090.
718-303-9090.
You can watch us live at Just Enough YouTube. Heshy.
Heshy, may I ask you before we speak
I didn't
to
finish
Ina?
with the Just Enough YouTube. Heshy, Facebook, Just Enough YouTube.
My apologies.
Whatever. You mix me up. I'm lost. I don't care. What do you want to say now?
I was just going to ask you. I like to hear your saying, and I like to hear your
Right.
joke of
So
the
I
day.
didn't do. I'm so. I love you so much.
I feel
Thank
like
you
I
so
feel
much.
cheated if
So
I
I
don't
know
get
that. So we're gonna start with Ina in a minute. Ina, you're gonna be on. We're gonna get you on the show, but I want to tell everybody my quote and joke of the day. And here's my quote: the world is full of willing people. Some willing to help others. Some not willing.
It's so true,
So
and it's
true.
profound. It really is.
Okay.
It's wonderful.
And I want people to help other people. And this is going to be my funny joke. Linda warned me today. She said, listen, it's our anniversary. Can you please not make fun of me today? I said, Linda, today that's your gift. No fun of you. So I'm going to tell you what happened.
Let's hit on Sawyer tonight.
Well,
No.
no. So, anyways, we're gonna get Ina in a second. Here's my deal. Linda, my wife, and I decided that my 7-year-old Avram should get something practical for his birthday. Because we're a little tight with the money. Anyways, so what we did was we told Avram we're gonna open him up a savings account. And Avram said, okay, that's great. So Avram was delighted. We went to the bank and we told Avram, my wife said, Avram, this is your account. And as we arrived to the bank, they gave us a form to fill out. We sat Avram down, and little Avram at 7 years old starts filling out the forms, answering the questions. We were so proud of him. He was doing fine until he came to one question. It said, name your former bank. And then Avram starts thinking for a while, and then we see him fill in piggy bank. What a smart boy. I know he's going to be a lawyer. Anyways, everybody, we're going to speak to Ina right now. Call into the show in the second half hour, 718-303-9090. A wonderful woman, a survivor of the Holocaust. My father was a survivor, and we're going to learn about this woman. Ina, welcome to our show. It's Heshy, Sawyer, and Boomy. Ina?
Yeah, Inga. Yeah, I'm on now.
Inga, you are on now, Inga. How are you?
Hi, Heshy, and hi, everybody else.
Hello, Inga.
Hi.
It's a pleasure. An
Hello.
honor
How
to
you
speak with you.
too? Yes.
Inga, I told everybody already that you're an accomplished author, which you're going to tell us about your books, and we know that you're besides a songwriter, but what really impressed. And I know you went through the Holocaust. Now, I want you to tell us about this. I want to ask you some questions. But my first question, when you stood up before the United Nations, after everything you went through and you saw all of them, what was your feeling? Did you show the world that we were vindicated? Did you show the world how you came back? Tell us about that experience in the United Nations.
Well, the thing that I thought about. By the way, writing is a hobby. Yes, I have 6 books, but mainly I was a chemist in medical research and clinical work for 38 years. That was my profession.
Wow.
But when I was standing at that sacred place where all the famous had spoken in the world, I said, I had the bully pulpit now. My main thing was, I want to speak to the world, to tell them no more anti-Semitism. And because it was live, and I pointed to the world because, we don't have really a good situation at the United Nations. And here I was. I had the bully pulpit. I could say that.
Ina, did they listen? Do you think they heard you?
Well, I tell you, people contacted a little village where I was born. They even took film. And also my friend and sister, it went all over. But that was my last statement. And that, to me, after all I said, was the most important thing.
Inga, and I'm going to let my co-host ask you questions. I want to ask you your story of the concentration camp, which I'd like you to tell us next how you went through. And maybe you don't want to say it, but I know you're a wonderful lady and you wrote books, and I want you to tell the world because I can't repeat. I repeat a lot of my father's stories that he told me what he suffered. But Inga, my one question to you is: a lot of people, as you know through the news through the years, said the Holocaust didn't happen. Not only didn't it not happen, there was no 6 million Jews that were killed. Is it true? Were the Jews killed? Was there a Holocaust? Maybe there wasn't. Maybe we're all crazy. Can you tell us?
Well, I don't think we're all crazy. Let them go to some of these places where we were. And for instance, we had a crematory too in Theresienstadt. Go to Auschwitz, which was a heck of a lot larger. I mean, walk into a gas chamber. This was not just a room made out of cement. You could still see the markings on the wall, also from the gas. It gives, I think, some blue little, blue things on the wall from these pellets, and the people, how they scratched into the walls trying to save their lives. I mean, you have to be really an idiot. I mean, Deborah Lipstadt was the best person to tell this Irving. There was a trial. And he was one of the biggest Holocaust deniers, and she won the case, obviously. I mean, but, she was a great lady to speak about that. I don't know if he believed her or not, but she won the case.
Inga, what's your story? You were 7 years.
Yes, well, it started really way before in Germany. I'm born in a little village in southwestern Germany, near France and Switzerland, a little village called Kippenheim. And I was a Jewish child to be born there. And in fact, when I was born in the house. The doctor who delivered me already belonged to the Nazi party. I was delivered by a Nazi, but he still took care of his Jewish patients. And later on, he did terrible things, and he was in prison for many years, probably euthanasia, where you kill the people, the so-called undesirable.
So am I correct, Inga, that there was appointed chancellor in 1933 already? Is that correct?
Yes,
okay.
He was.
So that's when the Nazi Party really came to power.
But it really started a little later. Everything.
Okay.
But what year were you born, Inga?
I was born December 31, 34.
Now, when you were a little girl, did you have German friends? Were they good or did they hate us?
In my village, I did not have. We were, it was about 2,000 people, 60 Jewish families. We were Orthodox, modern Orthodox. I mean, the community was very close. The center was our shul, beautiful shul. For a little community like that. And I did not have any Christian friends at that time, but I spent a lot of time with my grandparents who lived about 200 miles away in another state. And my grandparents were quite Orthodox. And there, they were the last Jewish family living there in this little village, which was at one time 40% Jewish.
Now, when you were a little girl, how did you go to the camp? They just came one day and
Well,
said,
let me tell you,
Yeah.
let me just finish this. And there I had many non-Jewish friends, and the last one just died. And I will say that in that village, the Christian people were not very bad to us. I mean, they were really they treated us well for the most part. I will say that.
So what happened? One day you're home and the Germans just came to get on the train?
No. It came in. Everything came in steps. First, they took my citizenship when I was about 6 months old. I was stateless. Then we were trying to get, and then, my father was taking. It went in steps. It's not like you go to the camp.
It was a progression. You're saying
it was a progression.
If it had happened suddenly, it would not. It would have been resisted much more strongly, I suppose.
I don't know. I tell you, we were living a very good life in Germany. There were always undercurrents of anti-Semitism. It never went away. Mm-hmm. But my father was in World War One. He was fighting for the German. Obviously, you were a German, you fought. And he was wounded quite badly and got the Iron Cross. Now, my great-grandmother was one out of 14 children. She had 4 brothers in World War One. And 2 died for Germany, and then they killed her later on. So this was a progression. In 1938, Kristallnacht, where all the Jewish men were taken to a concentration camp. In our area, it was Dachau. In others, Buchenwald. But do you know about Kristallnacht? They broke all the windows.
Kristallnacht.
Huh?
Kristallnacht, I think it was.
And so how did they come get you? How did you end up in the camp?
That comes later. The transport, first of all, we moved away from that village, hoping still to get out. But in 1940, all the Jews in my home state, Baden, were taken to a camp called Gürs. We were not there anymore. 1940 it started, the deportations. But we were a little safe still at that time. By that time, I'm ready to go to school in 1941. And I had to go to a Jewish school in Stuttgart and so forth. But then the first transport from that area where we were living in my grandparents' home, the first transport went to Riga, Latvia, and we were in that transport. My grandmother took my grandfather.
But Igor, what do you mean you were in that transport? How did they put you in this
box? Oh, you got a letter. I still have a letter for transport. I still have it. And then my father wrote to them, to the Gestapo, secret police, that he's a disabled war veteran. Could we be spared? He has the Iron Cross. So for some reason, they took us out, but not my entire school. I only had 6 months of schooling, first grade. I lost 8 years of school in my life. But my grandmother went, the whole school was emptied, and we were still safe. And that was in December 1941. That was the first transport.
Now, I saw a picture with you with your original yellow star that they put on your clothing. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have it. I have my star.
You had to do the star yourself, or they gave you?
No. In 41, you had to, anybody from the age of 6 on in Germany, Austria, had to wear the yellow star, for which you had to pay. It came on a yellow sheet, very poor cloth, and you cut it out, and my mother put a backing on it. It was very bad cloth, and you had to sew it on. You had to walk around on the outside with that star on the left side over your heart.
And if you didn't, how would they know you're Jewish?
Well, look, in those little towns, everybody knew who you were. You were. I mean, you couldn't hide.
So why didn't but why didn't you run to a big city like Berlin or Munich or something like that?
No, it wasn't worth it. Those transports started there already too. And we were closer to France and Switzerland. We always thought, well, maybe we can go into there. But the borders were closed.
Now, so you got a letter to show up at the train.
That was given by the Jewish community. They told the Jewish community, we need 1,000, we need 1,200, blah, 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 put them together, and that's it. So that's it. So we got the letter, and in August of 42, that's when our letter came. I have it.
Inga, I want to ask you, when you say the Jewish community, you mean like a Jewish community council that was located in that area?
Yeah, but I had the Jewish council,
I see.
the capitals of the states.
This
you
was
know.
a pre-existing council, so the
Well,
Nazis
yeah, there was
essentially
some kind of council, Jewish community council.
So the Nazis told the council gather together so many and so many people
And they were the
for
ones
the
who sent out the letter.
I see.
The Jews. Now, when you got to the train, you saw that it was a cattle car, didn't you? Guys?
No, it wasn't a cattle car yet. Train. So they told us, you know, I mean, it was a regular train. You had to give up everything before, everything. And only they told you to have metal dishes, like a little can, like the Army has, metal, and provisions for 2 days of food. And then there was a collection center. We were lying on the floor for about 2 days, waiting for the train. And then we went off. And we arrived in Czechoslovakia. And Terezin was a place where you had the intelligentsia of Europe, the best artists, the best musicians, and a lot of highly decorated war veterans. Who was sent there. It was an actual fortress town built by Emperor Joseph II in memory of his mother, Maria Theresa, who was a big anti-Semite, by the way. And this was near Prague, 60 kilometers north of Prague. But it was a station. It was a place where you kept people like in the stockade. You wait for the cattle, let's say, until they're ready to be slaughtered.
When you got to this concentration camp, didn't you guys know that your life was over, or you thought you had a chance?
Look, you always had hope. You knew the situation was very bad, you know, with the conditions and everything crowding and people dying around you. I was allowed to stay with my parents because my father was a disabled war veteran, so we were in an area like 40 in the room, so forth, and people with missing legs, so a hole in the head still. Those were our fathers, big heroes, you know, from World War One. That didn't save you, by the way. We only knew that we did not want to be sent to the east, it was called. We didn't know about Auschwitz. They kept it from us. In fact, they had a family camp, what they called a family camp in Birkenau. Near Birkenau in Auschwitz, very near, you know, there's a big street in between Auschwitz proper and Birkenau. I think at the beginning of Birkenau, there was the Terezin family camp, and of course almost all of them were liquidated. They had to write back to us, oh, it's very nice here, come and join us. Nobody knew. But going to the east, we knew was bad. And Eichmann, who was in charge of the whole situation, you know, of the final solution, came quite often. I saw him there. He was the biggest killer of all time. You heard about the Eichmann trial.
When you were in the camp, you saw them Germans walking around shooting Jewish people just like
No, it wasn't like that. You had them there. I mean, you also had Jewish police people, you know. They pretended to give a Jewish self-government. It wasn't like that. You had a Nazi commandant all the time who said everything. You know, and he knew, of course, what was happening. And they had to put the list together, the next transport, the next. Always around 1,000 people.
And how many brothers and sisters did you have?
None. I was an only child.
And you somehow survived as an only...
It was an absolute miracle that my bunkmate did not, and she was even half Jewish. Her father was half Jewish. The mother totally, she was brought up as a Christian. And we slept in the same bunk, her parents and we.
Now, when you...
So the Nazis didn't really discriminate, did they?
Well, even if it went back a few generations, and even though she considered herself a Christian.
Now, Inga, your parents were wiped out in the war?
No, luckily I survived with my parents, but I'm the only child who came back from all the transports that started in Stuttgart. There were quite a few. Stuttgart is the capital of Württemberg. Now, Württemberg and Baden are two states that are together today, but we had to go to a Jewish school, etc. But I'm the only child who came back from that whole state who was in the camp. The only one.
You witnessed so much death. How do you deal with it? I remember my father as a young man. I was a baby, but I used to hear him, and he was a strong, tough guy. I still heard him sometimes at nighttime whimper, or I heard him,
Certainly, and people committed suicide too. My father, when we arrived, we had to sleep up in the attic in a huge fortress, and there was an old man on our transport. He was already hanging out of the dormer window. It was very hot, and my father told him, he just pulled him back. He said, "You don't do that again. We're going to get out." And my father was the one with a lot of positive thinking. And he said, "Okay, I promise you, whatever." Next day he jumped out. They found him on the ground.
When the war ended and you were liberated, what did you do then?
Well, then my whole story really began. We stayed about 9 months in Germany, and of course everybody said, "Oh, we didn't want to do this," and all BS, and we wanted to leave. I mean, we lost at least 13 immediate members of the family, 20 altogether. Well, that included my grandmother, who was sent to Riga. I told you we were also in that transport. We got out. In fact, a few years ago, I decided I want to go to Riga to say goodbye to my grandmother. And I went to the forest. People told me that's where they sent them, to the Birkenike forest. It was Rundelar, Birkenike, but the Germans were mainly sent to. And it was unbelievable. There were over 50 mass graves. Each one had 1,000 in it. I mean, and there was cement around the mass graves. I went maybe past 2 of them. I had enough.
Wow. Inga, I'm going to ask you one more question, and then let my co-host take over. Israel, do you like Israel?
Of course I like Israel.
So how come I see sometimes these people screaming, dismantle Israel. Maybe Israel is again, shouldn't exist after everything. I mean, do we need a Jewish state?
Absolutely. In fact, I found now, I never knew he existed. A second cousin, we became very close, and a very religious person. He lives up in Muncie, and he has children in Israel. And I said, Steve, he calls himself Tuvia, maybe I should buy an apartment in Haifa. Look, do you think we are so safe in America? We have been thrown out of every country, and it's a good thing, a blessing to know when things get really bad, I can go somewhere where I'm wanted.
But Inga, after everything you went through, don't you
That's
think...
not all. I have another story after the war.
But Mike, I want to go to that story, but we've been thrown out. We're not going to let them do this to us in America. We're not going to let them...
That doesn't mean a thing. We would let them. Look, we thought we wouldn't let them either in Germany or in Poland, and wherever we lived. It happened. It happened in Spain. It happened everywhere. So they don't like us for some reason. They are jealous of us. Now, let's say, even, you probably never heard of that. The car Mercedes is named after a Jewish girl. Did you know that?
No.
Well, yeah. The father and the whole family. There was a rabbi in that family. Yes, it's named after a Jewish girl. Believe it or not. That's true.
I want to take some calls, but I want to hear again. Now you tell us now what happened after the war. You
That's
said
right.
The story continues. That's good.
Yes, it really gets very good.
Tell us.
Oh, tell you now. Well, we came here on the second displaced persons boat, the Marine Perch, and because President Truman gave us permission to come, we came here as legal, very legal. And my aunt and uncle were here already. Mother had a brother who they got out in time.
You went to Ellis Island?
No, that was finished by then already. No Ellis Island. And so we went to Rockwell Center. We lived there a few weeks, and I stayed with some distant family members to start school a little bit. We came in May. In fact, we came on the same boat as Benjamin Mead, from the Warsaw Ghetto Committee. Are you familiar with him?
Yes,
Benjamin
I
Lee?
heard the name. Yes.
We were in the same boat. I didn't know him then. And then my parents got a job as a couple, meaning my mother became a maid, my father a butler. Now, we had maids in Germany, two of them, in fact, a huge house, 18-room house. Fortunately, they lived in Rye, New York, which is a very fancy neighborhood. And the doctor said, immediately into the hospital. And I had TB. I never talked about it. I don't care anymore. I'm not getting married at this point at 85. But there's a tremendous stigma against that disease. I was 2 years in the hospital, complete bed rest, and near death. When I came home, it took me about 4 years in bed when medicine was discovered by actually two Jews. Streptomycin, the first drug against this horrible disease, which saved my life. And then more medicine came. And so, I lost 8 years of schooling. And of course, you have the stigma against you, and that's it. But I've been okay for 70 years, and I was even accepted to med school. Okay,
Wow.
I wanted to be a doctor. Yes,
Inga, you're
remarkable.
You're remarkable, a powerful, strong woman. But Inga, you know that the Jewish people, the chosen people that we say we are,
chosen for tourists.
Okay, but whatever it is, God is our Father. Do you still believe in God, and do you blame him?
Of course, I believe in God.
But why did he do this?
Well, the answer is the Rabbonum, and everybody gives you. And I've asked that to priests. I speak all over. Even I spoke at the Eucharistic Convention in New Zealand, and you talk about this, and they said, well, God gave us free will. And we did it to ourselves, unfortunately. I don't know where this came from, but somehow there's always a miracle at the end that we survive, which is amazing.
Now, there's a guy, a Hungarian Jew, George Soros. I know you don't want to get into
Oh, my God.
Is he a good man?
Yeah, that's a terrible situation.
He is. Tell us about this idiot.
I don't know much about him, but he's on the wrong side of the tracks, let's put it this way.
Am I correct? I heard that his original name was really George Schwartz.
Could be. Look, you had a Ganuvum with, what was his name? The one, oh God, can't think of his name right now. Madoff.
Bernie Madoff.
Unfortunately, we have people like that too, who gave us a very bad reputation. My father always said when he heard something on the radio, whatever, television, oh, I hope to God it's not a Jew, when something terrible happened. Unfortunately, once in a while it was.
I want to take a call. Let's take a call. Let's take line one. We want to ask you, stay on the line.
Yeah.
Hello, you're on the air with Heshy, Bumi, and Inga.
Yeah. Hi, this is Chris. I want to ask her, were there pieces to the puzzle when she was in Germany that knit together eventually? Like I've heard, was there a propaganda machine running? Is it true that they were giving a lot of German people kind of a drug, like similar to meth? And did you hear the word final solution at that time? And also, do you think the people that ran the camps were forced into it, or do you think did they come across as extremely evil?
Thank you, Paula. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. Do you have a few questions? I don't know of any drugs that I don't. Were they forced into this? For instance,
what he was asking, Inga, was when they were torturing and killing the Jews, did they did it happily, or were they like giving orders? Sometimes people kill and they enjoy it.
I think some of them really did enjoy it. There was such hatred, such evil.
Why?
I don't know. And, even look at the doctor who delivered me. He was a good man. What made him choose to become evil? To get a better job, to get a higher position. Like Mengele and all of these people, they look for fame and fortune, I guess. And but there had to be something. You have in life choices to be a good person or a bad. You must. we have a conscience. Everybody has a conscience, whether it's good or bad, But you have to know, am I doing really, is it okay to kill children? Is it okay to murder people for no good reason who hadn't done any crime? I mean, deep down, inside, they had to feel something.
Inga, if I may, today we're living in a world where, unfortunately, even here in the United States, there is a plethora of anti-Semitism. It's replete with anti-Semitism all over, especially on campuses and in various areas. If you get into a debate, or any individual get into a debate with some of these Holocaust deniers or some of these anti-Semites, what do we say to them? How do we respond to these attacks?
I had such a thing with the BBC. Okay. And there was one of these deniers, and I went ballistic because I couldn't hold myself. And then there was Deborah Lipstadt, who just didn't want to say anything because, as she puts it, you can't discuss with people who are like that. It's like talking to the wall. It means nothing.
But there must be
I just have to let loose how I feel. I'm this kind of a person. I have to answer back.
Good for you, Inga. But Inga, what do I say to these anti-Semites when they attack and they start attacking with anti-Semitic?
Well, first of all, I start with education. Okay. I go in many schools. I've been speaking to 1 million people, maybe. And the first I realized, they don't even know who the Jews are. Wow. Especially you go even to college. I ask them, do you know what it is to be Jewish? And they stare at me like, blank. I said, well, it's a religion. And do you know who the most famous Jew was? Jesus. Then
That's correct.
Very quiet little voice comes Jesus. He said, well, if you don't like me, you will have to hate Jesus too. Because he was born a Jew and died as a Jew.
That's
period.
Correct, yes.
Okay, Inga.
So you have to bring it down to their level. They don't even know what it is to be Jewish. So they're hating something that they don't even understand.
So Inga, I want to ask you a question. I can maybe understand all the Germans being idiots and killing the Jews, but then we go through Europe. You have Poland. You had Czechoslovakians. You had so many other countries just started killing us. Why?
Why'd they go along with it? Yeah.
Even I went to Poland a few times. In fact, I wrote a book with a Polish nun Jew. She was in labor camps. And even she, who was my friend, she died recently. And one day it came out. We went into a store. This is supposed to be a Jew-loving person, that her father helped Jews, which I don't really believe. It sounded good, And I went into a store, a photography store, and I wanted him to change something. She left me standing there. I don't speak Polish. I spoke in Polish school, many of them, but I had to have a translator. And I said, why did you leave me? Well, you people are, and you have a lot of chutzpah. In other words, the Jews are chutzpahniks. It came out at that point.
So you're saying it's submerged. They still have it in them.
They learn it in church, which they're not supposed to. I mean, I was very good friends with a very famous nun, Sister Rose. Everybody knew her. She was a wonderful friend of the Jews. And she was brought up with anti-Semitism. What's this with the Jews?
I want to take another call, Inga. Let's take another call. Take line 2.
Sure.
Hello, you're on the air with Heshy, Sawyer, Inga, and Bumi.
Thank you for taking my call. Yes, you were asking Inga, how could something like this happen? How could it reach such a climax, such a peak? And I'll say, why don't we just look at what's happening today with someone by the name of George Soros, who's funding BLM?
Yes.
Why don't we look at the protesters happening with BLM? Not the protesters, the simple, peaceful ones, but at night when they're being videotaped, breaking into stores, shooting people, killing people. Why don't we take a look at that? And we see it happening
today. We should take a look, because a lot of these people are anti-Semites too.
Okay,
and I don't understand a guy like Soros. I don't understand him. You have Jewish self-haters. You have that.
Terrible.
Yes.
It's a terrible thing.
Inga, let him finish the last part of the question.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
But what I'm trying to point out is it was stated as either as a question or a rhetorical question. How could something like this happen? And what I'm trying to point out here is that we're living in these times now where it's beginning, and where the fomenting is beginning. We're just starting to throw some wood in the brush fire.
But I'm not giving up. I'm going to be running for city council. I won't allow this. I do fight back when somebody comes after me. I will not, Inga, and I want you to know the caller that I will not let them push me out. I will not let them torture me, and I'm not going to give in my father's.
Well, this is all rhetorical, Heshy. We said that too. We were good Germans. My father had the Iron Cross. They're not going to touch me. But they did.
I believe they are coming after me, and I'm ready to defend myself. Thank you for your call. That was a wonderful call. Inga, go ahead, Boomy.
Yeah, I'd like to know, how do we fight back while we still have some semblance of authority
well, you
and
have
power?
to be careful whom you elect. That's number one.
That's number one. And number two, is it also of critical importance? Is it also paramount that every incidence, or at least public incidents of anti-Semitism, be called out and made public? Is that important to do?
It's important, but I think the most important thing is education. That you have, for instance, Holocaust studies taught in every state. I have a friend in Texas, non-Jewish, and she got very involved with me. She was one of the most important persons. Education now in all of Texas. It's a big state about this. People have to be educated. Who are the Jews? What happened? It should not happen.
I think that's something that, in fact, the president did now.
But Inga, I fight for the Jewish community. I fight for the weak. I fight for lost cause. I actually go against the chance of ever winning, and I always fight for lost causes. And you know what I'm being told by the leaders of our community, our politicians? Heshy, shut up. Be quiet. If you make too much noise, they'll come into our community. If you make too much noise, they'll come after us. I said, are you crazy? I make noise.
No, he makes noise, and then they steal the credit for it.
Right,
Disgusting.
But my question, they want us to stay quiet and huddled and like sheep. I disagree.
No, I disagree with that too. The first thing when they said you can go to the UN, I said, oh, I'm going to make use of that, because they're very anti-Semitic. I mean, United, we know that.
Inga, there happens to be one fabulous organization. There's quite a few. That Sawyer happens to be a Brooklyn committee chair. It's called Americans Against Anti-Semitism. I think you're familiar with Dov Heikind. Have you heard of Dov Heikind?
Of course.
He's a dear friend of mine, and this is his organization, and he's there.
To meet him one day,
I will arrange it, Inga. I will arrange it. He's on the forefront of every battle, and Heshy does the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, Heshy, I think it starts with the young people. I just talked today to somebody who's teaching. I speak a lot in Germany. I speak German perfectly. Yet last year I was in Düsseldorf to speak against anti-Semitism. They wanted me to come. You have to go to the young people where it starts. Of course, parents will tell them things, stories, but start with education the young.
I know.
Did
not President Trump just recently mandate that Holocaust be taught in the schools now? Was it not something that the president just signed? I thought I heard.
But you know what, Inga? I was at a rally and I met like 5 young black boys, men really. They were like 17, 18. And they were telling me, they were standing with me, how they're going to help the young, how they're going to do good. They stood around me. We laughed together. This is
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have black friends too. They came to my shul. I brought, in fact, that there's a Cornerstone Church in Brooklyn. And Rabbi, I mean, he was almost like a rabbi, Reverend Wright, I don't know if he's still around there. He came to my shul with the choir. And this is how we got to get to know each other.
I agree. I have a church 2 blocks from my house. People screamed at me, but I went and I volunteered to give out food with the pastor. And I even have Muslim friends that not only forget they do business with me, they come to my house and we sit together. Today I had a guy talking to me in Arabic as I was giving away toys. He says, I'm not Jewish. He says, I said, do I care? But Inga, my final...
I live next to a Muslim family, door to door, and one Hindu. I live in such a neighborhood. My neighbors are Muslim, devout Muslims, and we get along. And
Inga,
Hindus
may I ask
too.
what neighborhood you live in?
I live in Jamaica, Queens.
Oh, okay. That's a nice neighborhood.
Now,
yes.
Inga, your whole life, you're 85 years old. You've been very successful.
Young. Don't say old.
Not old. I'm old. By the way, Inga, today is my 30th anniversary. And
Mazel tov.
yeah,
Mazel
and my
tov.
wife wants flowers. I'm not buying her flowers.
So what are you going to give her?
I'm cheap. Nothing.
He's such a
that's
liar.
bad.
No, he's such a liar. He's such a liar. He's going to buy her the whole shebang.
Anyways, Inga, after everything you've seen, after all the tourists, and you sound so powerful and happy and delicious. My problem with you is, and this is my real issue with you is, you're not getting revenge. Don't you want to wipe out? Don't you want to hurt somebody?
And
Don't you wanna-
revenge doesn't mean, but I do not forgive. You know, I mean,
Explain that. You don't forgive. You don't forgive.
No,
But
I do not forgive the ones who did the killing. I believe in reconciliation, but not with the ones who kill us. Ever. I shall never, ever forgive. And there is a lady, I don't want to mention her name, she just died. She forgives everybody. She was in Auschwitz, her parents were killed, blah, blah. You know, I don't understand that. Of course, everybody can do what they want, but to me, it's just it's just words which mean nothing. If you want to forgive somebody, and in a Jewish faith, the perpetrator, ask the person whom you hurt 3 times. And
forgiveness.
if they don't forgive you, you're not forgiven. That's it.
I want to take another caller before we finish.
Murder is on such a scale cannot be forgiven. Period.
You're on the air with Inga, Heshy, Soya, and Bumi.
Yes, good evening. You see, there's an uprising in anti-Semitism in Germany. When you've gone there...
Oh, yes, there is.
It's a tremendous uprising.
Yes.
When you were in Germany, did you feel it in the street?
I didn't feel it. I mean, I understand maybe once or twice. Excuse me?
Jewish people cannot wear yarmulkes in the street. They tell them wear baseball caps.
Well,
or other caps.
I tell you, I told them when I was there, the Jewish people get out while the going is good. That's it. That's what I told them. And
They should still get out. They should still get out. They should still, but they're going back to Germany. All these modern
Jews, they're finished. I mean, they're almost.
The Israelis going to Germany today.
Huh?
There are Israelis that are moving to Germany today.
Well, it's their business, you know, but, you know, money talks, whatever. But we never had more than 500,000 Jews living in Germany. 500,000, not millions. Poland, I know, it was millions and millions and millions, you know.
Thank you, caller, for your call. I'm sorry we lost you. Inga, we're coming to the end of the show, and Bumi's going to ask you one question. But before I lose you, there's a very big rule that a Holocaust survivor has a right to give a blessing, and it'll be listened to. I want a blessing from you. I want you to bless me, Bumi, and Soya.
Well, I bless you all. You know, in the way I bless.
Amen. Thank you.
And my hope, my wish and prayer is for every child to grow up in peace without hunger and prejudice. That is my wish.
Amen.
Where can people, if they want to get your books, how can they get your books?
Well, the books, I have 6 of them. They're all on Amazon. And they've been published in 9 languages. The first one is very famous, published by Penguin, 30 years already, and Simon & Schuster. It's called I Am a Star. And since I'm a positive person, I turned that yellow star into something positive that, to me, every human being is a star, deserves the right to live.
Take another
call.
So
that's the title is I Am.
And
that's my first 10 years. But then I have 2 other books on my life and other subjects.
We have another caller on the line.
Sure.
Hold on.
No, you lost him. Go ahead.
Inga, can I ask you, I want to ask you a final question. I think this is a little bit loaded, but I think we've got 2 minutes, okay?
Okay.
Inga, can it happen here again in America?
I think it could. It's already, you see a lot of, but maybe because we are such a, multicultural society here in this country, that perhaps that will slow it down. But who knows? It happened in every country so far.
Should we be packing up and running to Israel now?
Excuse me?
Should we be packing up and running to Israel now?
No, I don't think so. I think we should fight it.
Okay.
And educate the people.
I love you.
We love you.
Living with so
We
many
love you,
different
Inga.
kinds of
You're
people.
amazing.
That is our savior.
Well, Inga, I'm fighting. I'm staying here. I want to take a call
Good
from
for
Heshy.
you.
I want to
More
take.
koyach
This
to
is one
you.
of my favorite callers. Heshy, you're on the air with Inga, Heshy, me, and Sawyer. Heshy, how are you?
Baruch Hashem, Heshy, listen to this. First of all, what's even more dangerous than the physical annihilation is the spiritual annihilation, the intermarriage that's going on.
That's true. You're
Millions
right.
of Jews don't even know what Judaism is.
That's true. A lot
That
of
is
our
the big
boys
problem.
and girls are marrying out, and that's one of the things when I meet young people. Please, we have nice Jewish girls too. So
Yeah, but there's 5
get
million
one.
Jews going lost in America, and there's 4.5 million Jews getting lost in Israel. Also, they have no Torah, no yeshiva education.
Well, this is it's a big problem. It is a huge problem.
Well, there's a lot of people. You're saying the right thing, Inga, and there's a lot of people out there taking that on.
Look, I met non-Jews too. Obviously, I worked in the hospital. I dated many doctors, but I would never, even the best person, and I met some really nice non-Jews. I would never do that to my parents and for myself.
Inga, I used to say,
Inga,
when I was the leader of my synagogue, Temple Bethel of Borough Park, Young Israel Bethel of Borough Park, I used to say, we have, as Jews, in order to be a light onto the nation, it is our responsibility, okay, to mingle with the non-Jewish nations, but not to what's the word that I use? Not right, exactly. We have to. All of a sudden, I'm lost for words. I used to use exactly the specific language. It meant, in other words, we have to
lead.
We have to integrate, but not assimilate. That's the language.
Yes,
integrate,
you are so right.
assimilate.
You are absolutely right.
And
I want to wish also everybody a good Yontif, a good Happy New Year, the Shona Tova.
Wonderful year. Inga, I want to tell you, Heshy, I'm keeping you on the phone. I just want to make sure that I'll be announcing soon my candidacy for city council, and I'm going to fight the anti-Semites. I'm going to fight the crazy man. And Inga, you're going to see my muscles. I mean, I'm a fat guy, but you'll still be able to see my muscles.
We have to stop the gay marriage, otherwise America and all the
world.
Heshy,
I love you.
Okay.
A great show,
Inga, I will arrange in Yitz Hashem for you to meet with Dov Heiken.
Yeah, we're going to pick you up. We're going to make a barbecue at Dov's house. Inga.
And I got to meet you too in person.
Absolutely.
You got it, Inga. I love you. Heshy, you're a great guest. Inga, I love you, Inga. I'm going to give you pick you up one day. You're wonderful. Have a good debate year and a great year to all of you and all my listeners. Bye, Inga.
Bye. Good night.
Good night.
Good health and everything, and muscle and good and brocha.
Amen.
Amen. You too.
Especially good health. Let's get rid of that virus.
Inga, I want you to wish Linda happy 30th anniversary. That's
happy 30th anniversary. All the best of everything.
Thank you, Inga.
Thank you. Good husband and good family. That's a blessing.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Good
and
night.
many, many more.
Thank you. Thank you to all my listeners. Thank you, Inga, for calling into the show. What a wonderful, powerful woman. We'll see you again Wednesday night next week, everybody. Have a great week. And you know what? Linda, I will buy you flowers. No, I won't.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
The preceding program is a paid advertisement. The opinions and views expressed therein do not necessarily reflect